Okay, Jerry and Yumi, I hope you can hear this because I'm in a coffee shop. And just sending you a little bit of an update of the P&L, okay? Because there's some things that we will need to think about. I'll send a message afterwards with a little detail, but I think it will be the fastest option is to just look at this. Okay, cool. Share. Okay, then here, it doesn't really matter. These are the three that count, the ones that have emojis, okay? And here are the basic inputs, okay, into the model. I can zoom in a little bit more, okay, which is basically what are the sales. We can do a before and after. Why I want to do a before and after? Because then you can show the potential retail space saying, hey, before you have this tool to enable you to sell more, this is your sales, and this is your margin, this is what we expect it to be. Now it comes out negative. I'll explain why afterwards. It will run it a different way. So let me just show you the way, okay? Then this is very important. This is right now what I'm obtaining, okay? Here you have the input. So if you change something, you know, you see the result already, okay? This is the key thing for me, okay? That you can play here, and while it's P&L, it's nice, but it's a little bit compact, okay? Let me just unzoom. Okay, and here you have the P&L from the customer side, and more or less taking the inputs that Jerry gave, okay? It's a little bit, you'll see a bunch of elements in yellow, which are inputs, okay? And generally you just need to put this, but it doesn't matter, it's just so it's a little bit easier. There's a bunch of stuff here, okay, in terms of the margin that the credit cards are charging. And then, for example, unsold, this is important, Jerry, I put a 20% unsold kind of cost, meaning that because of having stock, but then customers coming, going, and not having, so there's a potential. Maybe you're telling me, oh, that's super exaggerated. I've seen what the numbers are, and it's 10%. Okay, this affects quite a bit. Okay, I put high because generally retail has high that issue because it has already the stock. Unless they're like, no, we have just in time kind of ordering. That is need to understand better. Generally, retail is punished with a lot of unsold into their margins. Okay, then the average cost. This is aligned with what you mentioned. The other products, I'm not putting too much emphasis on the other products. We're not really affecting it. It does help. If they sell a lot of other stuff, it does help. But I look at the P&L. I mean, for there is PDFs, it's enormous. And if we can get an Excel sheet or we can get something, because even when I use Claude to convert, it's quite a long process to convert that. You have to do a lot of checking. So I've looked it over, but I haven't gone into every detail. I just took a little bit of your input from here because I think that works better. Okay, and they come up, and maybe this is a little bit, but I've focused on explaining the margin per unit. Okay, and I could have done this. P&L is a little bit complicated because I started one way and I changed. Okay, but in the end, the key factor here that you're trying to look at, okay, is at this after. Okay, what is the dollars that they're making, okay, on a monthly basis? Supposedly they're making $10,000. Then if the cost, employees, rent, other costs, and like cleaning, maintenance, other software tools that they'll be using, okay, and they'll end up with a little bit of a lower margin. Then why is this so important? Because here, this is the effect of the same number, which is the this number here, sorry. Apologies here, the cost, okay? The cost of the prescription platform, because this affects quite a bit. And this comes directly, okay, from, actually it should be output, my apologies. I really sprinted on this, okay? But this comes directly from here. Why? Because this is key, okay? This is exactly here, okay? I would say these are the two most important ones. What is that you want to charge? I'm just saying because this really affects, because if you look at this, the margin that they would make, if they really run the numbers, the margin that they would make, and this is just theoretical, the margin that they would make selling one of their products is 125 net, okay, with their retail costs and all that. With this 10%, that generally implies, this 10% implies 100 baht charge, okay, which is what the initial number that you had looked at, okay? The challenge is that they will make 125, HiBro will make 66.9 Thai baht per cent. Amazing, absolutely amazing, okay? Why? Because HiBro has a very different structure, cost structure in terms of space and employees and all this. Okay. Then the other variables that you need to look at, because then this affects both numbers. Okay, is the other deals by doctor. This is quite important because when you look at the numbers, running these numbers, HiBro numbers, this is the numbers a little bit surprising. Imagine 90 stores, if they're selling the rhythm that we were saying, around between 10 to 40, so let's say an average of 25 sales per day, that means 2025 sales per day, okay, in a bunch for a month. But 2025 sales means 2025 prescriptions. And you'll see that there's some numbers here of cases per doctor, okay, per day. Just trying to understand, like saying, hey, this is 1,000 cases per doctor per day. Can actually the commission, these are the commission, okay, side, the variable cost. And important, okay, just to bring you a little bit up to speed, Jerry, we probably need to talk about this, but just think about this, okay? That's 1,000 prescriptions per day, and just taking 50%, saying, hey, 50% of the deals are done by the commission doctors, not the full time. Still, and just looking at this, okay, when you look at HiBro, then you say, okay, let's look at the fixed cost, okay, let's look at how many doctors, okay, I put 8, okay, this is done from here, okay, 8 doctors, okay, this cost per doctor, okay, and Yumi, you should look at the cost per doctor, okay, these 3 elements, okay, tell you, hey, 50%, 8 doctors, $30,000, okay, the margins are enormous, just because the volume is absolutely enormous. I think the key challenge here is to understand, hey, this is the cases, this would imply that the cases that are getting paid, the cases, the prescriptions they need to sign is 16 per hour. Is this realistic or not? I think this is, I would say, when you run the P&L, you kind of realize, hey, the key number I need to understand is from the how many doctors do we have on the commission side, okay, that they can just be answering, because that will tell us very well if they can actually make it or not. Because maybe you say, no, we have 30, okay, 30, okay, it's 1,000 prescriptions a day, but it doesn't matter, you have 30 ongoing, and they're going to be making tons of money, so they're going to be very happy. Just because if the big difference with HiBro business, HiBro is you needed to generate the demand. In this case, you are, which is the beauty of this, you're supplying to demand that already exists at scale. If people buy this software, this can be quite a lucrative business, okay? Obviously, this changes a lot, but for example, this is what the numbers are saying. With these numbers, this company would be making just selling the software, okay? Just selling the application, $112. Obviously, this is very raw counted. I'm not counting on fixed and kind of fixed employee cost, although this 50,000 could include this, okay? So to be frank, the margins are really good. The margins seem to be really good because you're already leveraging demand that exists, okay? Being the prescription enabler to HiBro products, okay? And is actually working very well, okay? Or has really high margin. So potentially, the key thing is that there's a lot of margin. There's a lot of, so maybe potentially this ends up like this, okay? And 50 Thai baht instead, okay? There's still, you're saying, oh, but this goes down. You know, you can see immediately what happens. Or you can see immediately what happens, okay? If we go to 80%, okay? The margins go down one way, the other, okay? You can see, we can play around with the data. But the most important factor is how much we're going to charge, okay? For the HiBro enablement. For 50 Thai baht, okay, still the margins are still pretty spectacular, okay? This company would generate 50K US dollars, okay, 1.8 million in net margin. Obviously, this is, we need to run it to even more pessimistic, but let's say 30,000 US dollars, okay, let's say 1,100,000 Thai baht could be generated with this tool if we're just running 90 shops. And if that's what they sell, okay? Obviously, there might be some shops that sell more, some less. But just in terms of that picture, okay, for you guys, okay? So this is very important here. Really need to understand this number, cases per doctor, okay? Jerry, and Jerry, Joe, take a look at this number. Also Yumi, okay, but I don't have your email, I think. Okay, because that's going to be the key limitation. The reality is with these volumes, and the more that the fixed doctors can do, the better. Let's start with commission, but we need to understand capacity. And once we understand this is when I can run the kind of in-time P&L with the capacity, how many doctors we need, what's the cost and all that. Doesn't make sense for me to run it until we have very clear picture on this variable, okay? Very important. What is the average cost that we want to charge? And how many deals will come from commission and doctors, okay? Saying through the line chat. That the key to understand is capacity. And then doctors, and what's their average cost. Right now, the margin with a 10% with 100 baht charge, which might seem expensive, might seem cheap, and depends, it's still incredibly good. I see a lot of margin. This is the key thing. The key thing is that if we make this work, there's sufficient margin in the mix. Okay, hope this is helpful. It's going to be a little bit long, but this way you check this, and then when we talk, we're running faster because people have already thought about what they need to do.